Shirley Temple. In 1935, Shirley Temple became America's top box office draw at just 7 years old, eclipsing adult giants like Clark Gable and Joan Crawford. For 4 consecutive years, she reigned supreme according to Quigley Publishing's annual tallies. By the time she exited feature films in 1949, she had appeared in over 40 movies and achieved global stardom. Yet rather than slipping into the downward spiral that trapped so many former screen darlings, Temple pivoted toward public service. She ran for Congress in 1967 in California's 11th district, an ambitious endeavor that, although unsuccessful, opened a new direction. In December 1974, President Gerald Ford named her U.S. ambassador to Ghana, making her among the first women to occupy a significant diplomatic role in sub-Saharan Africa. She later served as chief of protocol under Ford from 1976 to 1977, a post often described as the public face of America's diplomatic engagements. Then came her most notable appointment, U.S. ambassador to Czechoslovakia in 1989, just as the Velvet Revolution overtook Prague. Temple witnessed communism's downfall firsthand, a moment some historians say was amplified by her celebrity status, enabling her to garner attention in ways career diplomats could not. Outside of government, she broke ground in health advocacy. In 1972, she revealed her breast cancer diagnosis and mastectomy in McCall's magazine, a candid act that was both unusual and risky at the time. Her transparency advanced public awareness of cancer. The corporate world noticed too. She held positions on the boards of the Walt Disney Company and Del Monte Foods, demonstrating her wide-ranging expertise beyond film. In 1998, Temple was honored with the Kennedy Center Honors, capping off a life that defied typical Hollywood outcomes. No public breakdowns, no salacious tell-alls, only a steady transition from child icon to international emissary. In a realm notorious for devouring young talent, Shirley Temple Black not only survived, she reinvented the possibilities. Tommy Kirk. Tommy Kirk was barely 16 when he landed the lead in Disney's Old Yeller in 1957, a role that made him one of the studio's most recognizable young faces. By the time The Shaggy Dog hit theaters in 1959, Kirk had become a reliable teen draw. But behind the scenes, his rising star was shadowed by a truth the industry refused to accept. In the early 1960s, Disney reportedly severed ties with Kirk after learning he was gay, a move that at the time was seen as a low-key but decisive career ender. The process wasn't public, and the timeline remains murky, but the message was clear: Hollywood wasn't ready. Kirk later described his early fame as restrictive and isolating, once saying his youth was spent trying to be something I wasn't. As roles evaporated, he faced a long stretch marked by substance-related struggles and depression. Some insiders theorized that the abrupt halt in his career only deepened his personal battles. But unlike many young talents of his era, Kirk didn't unravel. Instead, he transformed. He got sober, walked away from acting, and started a carpet-cleaning business in the San Fernando Valley, far from the cameras, but on his own terms. In 2006, Disney added his name to its list of legends, joining a class that included Tim Allen and Steve Martin. For fans and critics alike, it was seen as a symbolic gesture, an understated correction of the past. Kirk accepted the honor without bitterness, though he remained vocal about the industry's treatment of LGBTQ performers. He passed away on September 28, 2021, at age 79. While his early fame will always be tied to Old Yeller, his later life told a different story. One of unassuming resilience, personal growth, and a refusal to let Hollywood define his worth. Diana Sarah Carey. In the silent film era, few names loomed larger than Baby Peggy, born Diana Sarah Carey. By age 6, she had appeared in over 100 short films and several features, earning an estimated $1 to $2 million. But behind the scenes, her parents controlled her finances, and by the late 1920s, her career had collapsed amid contractual disputes and shifting industry tides. Her fame faded with the end of the silent era, and speculation ran rampant for years that she had been blacklisted, though no formal blacklist ever existed. What followed was not a retreat from public life, but a transformation. Carey became a respected self-taught film historian and author, using her platform to critique the entertainment industry's treatment of child performers. Her memoir, Whatever Happened to Baby Peggy, first published in 1975 and revised in 1996, became a cornerstone in conversations about child labor in Hollywood. Some dare to guess she was deliberately sidelined to protect industry interests, given her outspoken views. Living to 101, Carey was one of the last surviving major silent film stars, a living archive of a bygone era. Rather than being consumed by early fame, she turned her painful past into purpose, proving that reinvention can be the ultimate act of defiance. Paul Peterson. Paul Peterson was barely a teenager when he stepped into the spotlight as Jeff Stone on ABC's The Donna Reed Show, which premiered in late September of 1958. For 8 seasons, he played the wholesome son in America's idealized TV family. But while audiences saw a polished sitcom star, Peterson was already grappling with the unspoken toll of child fame, long working hours, disrupted education, and zero control over his future. By the time the show wrapped in 1966, he was just 20, and already done with Hollywood's illusions. Unlike many child stars whose careers faded or lives unraveled, Peterson took a different path. In 1990, he launched A Minor Consideration, a nonprofit aimed at helping former child actors navigate the harsh realities of post-fame life. The group became a critical support network, offering everything from legal guidance to mental health resources. While not its official motto, the phrase, "give voice to the voiceless," became a rallying cry for the cause, and for Peterson himself. His activism gained traction where others had been ignored. Peterson became a central force in strengthening the Coogan Law, first passed in 1939 after Jackie Coogan's earnings were mismanaged by his parents. Thanks to Peterson's push, updated legislation required a portion of child actors' income to be placed in trust. He also advocated for mandatory on-set education and stricter limits on working hours. In a 1999 congressional testimony, he described the entertainment industry's treatment of children as a toxic cocktail of fame, isolation, and adult-level pressure. Some in the industry pushed back, warning that such reforms could disrupt production schedules. But Peterson didn't flinch. He had seen the aftermath too often. In interviews, he pointed to fellow child actors, whose lives ended in self-inflicted deaths after years of substance-related struggles. Their stories weren't cautionary tales to Peterson, they were calls to action. He faced his own battles, including a period of depression following his stalled acting career. But instead of retreating, he transformed that pain into purpose. Over time, even critics who once dismissed him as a nostalgic footnote came to respect his relentless advocacy. He remains active today, speaking at panels, mentoring young performers, and calling out industry practices that still fall short. Some rumors suggest Peterson's drive was fueled by more than just personal experience. Whispers of behind-the-scenes conflicts and studio retaliation have lingered for years. While unverified, they only add to the legend of a child star who refused to stay quiet. Paul Peterson didn't just weather the storm of early fame, he built a lighthouse for those still caught in it. Annette Funicello. Annette Funicello didn't merely endure the spotlight, she reshaped it. At 12 years old, she became a household name as one of the original Mouseketeers on the Mickey Mouse Club in October of 1955, personally selected by Walt Disney. Her popularity exploded almost overnight, but however, unlike a host of teenage icons from that generation, she avoided the typical pitfalls of early fame. Her transition into teen roles was smooth, with standout performances in Disney's The Shaggy Dog in 1959 and Babes in Toyland in 1961. Then came the Beach Party era, films with Frankie Avalon that cemented her image as America's girl next door. That image wasn't entirely organic. Allegations suggest Disney's strict talent contracts may have extended to her personal life, allegedly curbing her dating activity to preserve her wholesome brand. Whether studio myth or fact, the speculation only adds to the mystique surrounding her early career. Musically, she held her own with charting hits like Tall Paul and Pineapple Princess, both backed by the powerhouse songwriting team, the Sherman Brothers. But her most powerful legacy emerged far from the stage. In 1992, Funicello revealed she had been living with multiple sclerosis since 1987. Instead of stepping back, she went public and founded the Annette Funicello Research Fund for Neurological Diseases, using her platform to fund research and support others. Her public appearances dwindled in the 2000s, but her influence never faded. Where others in her circle wrestled with typecasting or personal collapse, Funicello's path was defined by resilience, quiet leadership, and a career that matured with her. Mickey Rooney. In 1937, 16-year-old Mickey Rooney first appeared as Andy Hardy in A Family Affair, a modest family drama that discreetly kicked off one of MGM's most lucrative series. Over the next decade, Rooney starred in 15 more Andy Hardy films, each one a low-cost, high-yield production that became a reliable profit engine for the studio during the waning years of the Great Depression and into World War II. By 1939, Rooney had climbed to the top of the box office, holding the #1 spot for 3 consecutive years, according to Quigley Publications' annual exhibitor polls reported in Variety. The Andy Hardy character, cheerful, earnest, and all-American, struck a chord with audiences craving stability. Some film historians argue the series became a cultural touchstone, shaping the image of American adolescence on screen. For Rooney, the role offered more than just fame. In his memoirs and later interviews, he described Andy Hardy as a rare constant amid personal chaos. Off-screen, Rooney's life was marked by gambling losses, legal battles, and 8 high-profile marriages. He filed for bankruptcy at least twice, once in 1962 and again decades later. Still, he never vanished from public view. Rooney's career spanned over 80 years, with more than 300 acting credits across film, television, and stage. In 1983, the Academy honored him with an honorary Oscar, acknowledging his lifelong contributions to cinema. And in 2011, well into his 90s, he testified before Congress about elder abuse, becoming a vocal advocate for senior protections. It's often said MGM leaned on the Andy Hardy films more than it admitted publicly, especially during financial rough patches. Others believe that Rooney's relentless work ethic masked deeper struggles he never fully disclosed. Regardless, his ability to reinvent himself, from teen idol to seasoned performer to public advocate, set him apart from many of his contemporaries who faded or fell under the weight of early fame. Dean Stockwell. Dean Stockwell's career didn't just survive early fame, it reinvented it. By age 8, he was appearing in MGM hits like Anchors Aweigh, and by 10, he took center stage in The Green Years. But unlike numerous contemporaries who faded away, Stockwell voluntarily left Hollywood in the 1960s. He immersed himself in the counterculture scene, associating with Neil Young, Dennis Hopper, and other unconventional artists. Some speculate this chapter wasn't merely about personal exploration. It was a subtle revolt against the studio system that had molded his childhood. Under the moniker Robert Dean Stockwell, he dabbled in surrealist visual art, organizing exhibitions while steering clear of Hollywood's glare. Then came the resurgence. In the late 1970s, he returned to film with a bolder spirit, earning critical acclaim in Paris, Texas in 1984. 4 years later, his performance in Married to the Mob brought him an Academy Award nod for Best Supporting Actor. And in 1989, he scored mainstream TV gold with Quantum Leap, portraying Al Calavici from 1989 to 1993, a part that secured 4 Emmy nominations and cult status. Stockwell's knack for evading the pitfalls of youthful celebrity while evolving over the decades cemented his place among Hollywood's elusive shapeshifters. As many film scholars see it, his journey wasn't just about dodging the hazards of stardom, it was about continually reinventing himself. Tommy Rettig. In 1954, Tommy Rettig became a familiar face across America as Jeff Miller, the first boy to share the screen with Lassie on CBS. At just 12 years old, he was thrust into the spotlight, juggling long production days and the weight of national attention. When he exited the series in 1957, the aftermath was rocky. Rettig later confessed to grappling with identity loss and disillusionment, and by the 1970s, he faced legal trouble tied to a substance-related incident. But what happened next surprised many. By the early 1980s, Rettig had quietly reinvented himself as a software developer, diving headfirst into the rising world of computer programming. Without a formal college degree, he taught himself coding and became a respected figure in database development. He co-authored technical manuals on DBase, including the widely circulated DBase 3+, the complete reference, in 1987. Some in the early tech scene claimed Rettig had a rare gift for making complex systems digestible, a skill that may have been shaped by years of memorizing scripts. Rumors swirled that his Hollywood name opened doors in Silicon Valley, though Rettig himself dismissed the idea. He often reflected on the emotional toll of child fame, reportedly telling interviewers that rediscovering purpose was his true comeback. By the time of his passing in 1996, Rettig had carved out a legacy far beyond television. A quiet triumph over the pitfalls of early stardom and a rare case of a child star who overcame mere survival, he thrived. Billy Mumy. By the early 1960s, Billy Mumy had already established a name for himself in Hollywood, appearing in dozens of television shows before hitting his teenage years. Though the exact count of his early roles is debated, few child actors of the era matched his screen presence. His breakout came in 1965 as Will Robinson in CBS's Lost in Space, where the now iconic catchphrase, "Danger Will Robinson," spoken by the robot, cemented his character in pop culture. While many young stars of the time struggled under the weight of early fame, Mumy took a different path. Long before Lost in Space, Mumy had delivered a chilling performance in the 1961 episode of The Twilight Zone, titled It's a Good Life, playing a boy with terrifying psychic powers. That role could have easily typecast him. Instead, Mumy shifted gears. In 1970, he co-founded the surreal comedy music duo Barnes & Barnes with childhood friend Robert Hamer. Their track Fish Heads, released in 1976, became a cult hit after gaining traction on Dr. Demento's radio show and later airing on MTV, an unexpected second act that had nothing to do with his kid sensation persona. Billy's creative reach didn't stop at music. He became a seasoned voice actor, with confirmed credits including The Oz Kids, Animaniacs, and the cult sci-fi series Babylon 5, where he also acted on screen as Lennier. He later co-wrote the graphic novel Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom of the Soul in 2006, reimagining the series with a darker tone. That project signaled a full-circle moment, one that honored his roots while showcasing his evolution as a writer. Some entertainment historians suggest that Mumy's grounded upbringing shielded him from the darker pitfalls that plagued many of his contemporaries. In interviews, he's credited his parents for keeping him level-headed, recalling that they supported his career without feeding into celebrity delusions. It's a rare case, a juvenile performer who not only survived the industry machine of the 1960s, but thrived across music, television, and publishing. Word has even circulated that he was once considered for major studio roles in the 1980s, but turned them down to prioritize creative freedom over fame. While many still recognize him as Will Robinson, Billy Mumy's career is a blueprint for how to outgrow childhood stardom without losing creative momentum. He didn't just avoid the crash, he rewrote the flight plan. Jerry Mathers. By the late 1950s, Jerry Mathers had become one of television's most recognizable faces, thanks to his role as Theodore Beaver Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver. The show ran from 1957 to 1963, cementing Mathers as a symbol of post-war American innocence. But while many young performers from that era were later consumed by the darker sides of fame, Mathers made a clean break. After the series ended, he reportedly turned down acting offers to pursue education, enrolling at the University of California, Berkeley, where he earned a degree in philosophy. Around that time, he joined the Air National Guard during the Vietnam War era, a move that sparked rumors he was attempting to avoid the draft, though Mathers later clarified that he enlisted voluntarily. In the 1970s, he pivoted yet again, discreetly building a career in banking and real estate. Details of this chapter remain sparse, fueling speculation that he preferred to keep his business dealings low profile. But unlike many of his contemporaries, Mathers stayed out of tabloids and courtroom dramas. Then, in the 1980s, he returned to the screen, reuniting with co-star Tony Dow for a made-for-TV reunion and the sequel series, The New Leave It to Beaver. In the 1990s, a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes marked another turning point. Mathers didn't just treat the disease, he went public with it. His candid interviews about weight loss and health risks, including a warning from doctors that he could lose a foot or go blind, turned him into an unexpected health advocate. Some fans were surprised by his transformation from sitcom icon to wellness spokesperson, but Mathers embraced the role, speaking at expos and public events nationwide. Today, he remains a beloved figure at nostalgic conventions, where generations line up to meet the man who never lost his footing in fame. While others stumbled into scandals or substance-related incidents, Mathers followed a different script, one marked by education, service, and understated transformation. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.